Now I completely forgot what your question is. It always happens.
The second part of the question was
Yeah.
how much of it is just making, how much, do you ever just sit down and just wing it, I guess?
I have done that. I've done that on the single issue stories like Demo Local, where I don't have like a larger arc to worry about. And when it's a lot of, talking, I guess for lack of a better way to put it. I'll sort of know, okay, these people are going to get into a discussion about something. Like I know they have to like start talking, but I won't really know how to end it. So I will just wing it, and always without fail, like the greatest ideas come just from making two characters talk. It's a little bit indulgent because I think when you start doing that, you kind of run the risk of becoming one of those writers where their characters just talk about crap on and on. Like I know, like there are TV shows like that, or like the Tarantino films are like that, where they just like run their mouth and nothing, and no story is actually moving. They're just like talking for the sake of that. So generally, there's a lot of editing that has to happen after that. But I have found it's a good way to, like in that case, when there's a conversation in your script and you don't know what to do, if you just kind of like start writing in the voice of the characters and kind of let it go, just take it. Like if one character says, like, how dare you walk on my rug in those muddy shoes, and you can sort of think about like, okay, what would this character, knowing what this character is like, what would they say? And you can just kind of like, you get into like a rhythm with it. And I've written entire issues like that, which I've had to go back and clean up. But that can sometimes help me out with a jam if I don't know what to do. I don't always advise it for the reasons I just said, because you can kind of get sloppy and get carried away. But it does have its uses. Yes.
Sort of piggybacking on that, knowing that you a lot of these have a complete story arc that you're working with, how do you divvy that up into small, issue sections that also have to have a story arc, but they all fit together into a larger story arc?
It's just kind of the same way. I just sort of like, I have to sort of feel like the story idea I have is big enough for an entire arc. Like I have to like understand that that's the case and make sure that's the case first. And then I just do what I said before. I just sort of say, okay, this is like DMZ2, like the journalist is alive and he's kidnapped. Like I know what the general idea of the arc. And then I sort of say, okay, this has to happen and this has to happen. I start breaking it down and I say, okay, these can be the issues, And then I just take one and do what I said and sort of like break it down into pages. And it's a little hard there because you have to kind of end those on like, I'm not a cliffhanger writer really, not like Brian K. Vaughan or somebody else, but I do sort of like to have some sort of a moment at the end of the script, and that's actually not easy always, I have to say. Because a 22-page break is extremely, there's no wiggle room there, you have to make it last exactly that long, and you better have like a way to wrap it up at page 22, and then pick it back up again. It's a lot harder than I think anybody thinks. But yeah, like I said, I just use that same technique of looking at it as like a whole thing, and then taking it apart, and then putting it back together.
Sorry to harp on it again.
That's okay.
So if you've designated, 2 issues to sort of being your act 2 of the grander scope, how do you take the previous issue, which presumably ended on sort of a cliffhanger note, and then starting with the next issue, all of a sudden you're back to sort of a mini act 1. You have to get back to. Is it hard to take an exciting moment and then sort of bring it back to sort of do that arc again? Does that make any sense?
I think I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to think what I do. Well, usually, pretty much all my scripts, something I think I do with everything, is the first scene in each issue is, it's like an example. Like if at the end of issue 1, like, oh no, someone's about to die, right? And then at the beginning of issue 2, I don't immediately start on that. Like, there's always like a 3-page or a 4-page thing, and you see it in every single one of the books. There's like a little scene that's just sort of like something else that's happening in the world, and that's where my credits are. There's always on like page 4 or 5. And then on page 6, I've kind of like warmed both myself and the reader up, and then I can sort of like address, you know, pick up the story from the previous issue, and it's not like this like cold entry, you know, I'm not like jumping into it immediately. That seems to work for me. I don't know if that's really what you're talking about or not. It's a very hard thing to explain really how you work, especially for like a writer, because it's like all in our heads, and I sit alone in a room. And everything is like, you know, especially now it's become such like an instinctual thing that sometimes I don't really know exactly how I do it, just because I've done it so many times. So I apologize if anything I say sounds a little funny, but that's the reason why. Yeah.
Like how self-conscious you become of like how readers will respond, and does that dictate how things get written? You get to a point where you're like, oh wait, someone might respond this way, or do you just leave that to the editor and just let it come out and then come back to you and edit it down? Or?
This is a good question. I love this. The biggest mistake you can make as a writer is worrying about what the reader is going to think. That's my declarative statement, and obviously you have to worry, you know, to like a certain degree, especially if you're working on like a company-owned book, you know, where it doesn't belong to you. You're sort of like building on what other writers have done in the past, and there's an expectation from readers that you're going to kind of follow within lines. You know, like the established like kind of rules of whatever long-running book it may be. But when it's your own book, you kind of have the freedom to do, you know, to worry about that. So the rule is to write for yourself only, which sounds really self-indulgent, but the minute you start changing what you think is right, because like unnamed people on the internet might have an issue with it, is when you might need to stop, because you're just like compromising everything, and it's going to turn out like a crap. And the other thing is, there's always going to be someone that's not going to like what you do. And believe me, if they email me, I know they're out there. It doesn't matter what I do. There have been times when I have changed stuff. I've had like moments of weaknesses, and I've done stuff I didn't think was right, but I did it anyway. And I still get like the annoying images, or like see the blog post or something. And you're never gonna win. So I always think it's best just to write for yourself. Go with your gut. They can like it or not like it.